Li Peng, 1928–2019, was a prominent Chinese politician, best known for his tenure as the fourth Premier of the People's Republic of China, 1987–1998, and as chairman of the Standing Committee of the National People's Congress, 1998–2003. His life was shaped by his early ties to the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, his technical expertise as a hydroelectric engineer, and his controversial role in the 1989 Tiananmen Square crackdown, which earned him the nickname Butcher of Beijing in Western media and among critics. Below is a comprehensive account of his life, drawn from available sources and critically examined for a balanced perspective. Early life and family background. Li Peng was born on October 20, 1928, in the French concession of Shanghai, though some sources incorrectly list Chengdu, Sichuan province, as his birthplace. His birth name was Li Yuanpeng. His father, Li Shuoxin, was a revolutionary and early member of the CCP who was executed by the Nationalist Party, Kuomintang, in 1930 when Li Peng was just 2 years old. His mother, Zhao Juntao, was also a communist revolutionary. After his father's death, Li was effectively orphaned, as his mother continued her revolutionary work, leaving him in the care of others. In 1939, at the age of 11, Li was taken under the wing of Deng Xiaoping, the wife of Zhou Enlai, a key CCP leader and future premier of the People's Republic of China. Zhou Enlai himself became a mentor and adoptive figure to Li, fostering his early connection to the CCP elite. In 1941, Li was sent to the communist base in Yunnan, a hub of revolutionary activity, where he was immersed in the party's ideology and culture. This early association with Zhou Enlai and the CCP's revolutionary leadership profoundly shaped Li's worldview and career trajectory. Education and early career. In 1948, at the age of 20, Li was sent to the Soviet Union to study at the Moscow Power Engineering Institute, where he earned a degree in hydroelectric engineering. This technical training would define much of his early career. He returned to China in 1955 and began working in the power sector, supervising major electrical power projects over the next 2 decades. His expertise in hydroelectric power made him a valuable technocrat during China's rapid industrialization under Mao Zedong. From 1955 to 1979, Li held various roles in the power industry, gaining a reputation for competence in managing large-scale infrastructure projects. Between 1979 and 1983, Li's career advanced significantly. He served as Vice Minister and then Minister of the Power Industry, as well as First Vice Minister of Water Resources and Electric Power. His work during this period focused on expanding China's energy infrastructure, a critical component of the country's economic modernization efforts under Deng Xiaoping's leadership. Rise in the Chinese Communist Party. Li Peng's political ascent began in earnest in the 1980s. He joined the CCP Central Committee in 1982 and was appointed Vice Premier by the National People's Congress in June 1983, serving under Premier Zhao Ziyang. In 1985, he became a member of the Politburo and the Secretariat of the CCP's 12th Central Committee, solidifying his status as a rising star in the party. By 1987, he was elevated to the powerful Standing Committee of the Politburo, placing him among the top echelons of Chinese leadership. That same year, Deng Xiaoping personally selected him to succeed Zhao Ziyang as premier, a position he assumed on an acting basis in November 1987 and officially in March 1988. As premier, Li was tasked with overseeing China's economic policies during a period of significant reform and opening up. He worked under the paramount leader Deng Xiaoping and alongside CCP General Secretary Jiang Zemin, often ranking second in the party hierarchy during the 1990s. His tenure as premier was marked by efforts to balance economic modernization with the preservation of CCP control and traditional communist values, a delicate task amid growing demands for political reform. Tiananmen Square protests and controversy. Li Peng's legacy is indelibly tied to the Tiananmen Square protests of 1989, a student-led movement calling for political reform, freedom of speech, and greater accountability from the CCP. As premier, Li was a leading hardliner within the party, viewing the protests as a threat to national stability and CCP authority. On May 20, 1989, he declared martial law in Beijing, a decision that paved the way for the military crackdown on June 3–4, 1989. Troops were deployed to clear Tiananmen Square, resulting in significant loss of life. Estimates of the death toll range from hundreds to possibly thousands, though the exact number remains disputed due to the Chinese government's suppression of information. Li's role in the crackdown earned him widespread condemnation, both domestically and internationally. He was labeled the Butcher of Beijing by human rights groups and Western media, a moniker reflecting his public announcement of martial law and his perceived responsibility for the violent suppression. Critics, including survivors and witnesses, reviled him for his uncompromising stance, while the CCP protected him, ensuring he faced no official repercussions. His personal humiliation during a confrontational May 18, 1989, meeting with student leaders, where he was berated and accused of ignoring their demands, likely reinforced his resolve to deal harshly with the protesters. While Li was a prominent figure in the decision-making process, it's worth noting that the final decision to use force was likely made collectively by the CCP leadership, with Deng Xiaoping's approval. Some argue Li was a scapegoat for broader party policies, as his public role made him the face of the crackdown. Nonetheless, his hardline stance and lack of public remorse cemented his unpopularity among segments of the Chinese population and abroad. Premiership and major policies. Despite the Tiananmen controversy, Peng served as premier until 1998, overseeing significant economic and infrastructure developments. One of his most notable contributions was his strong support for the Three Gorges Dam project, a massive hydroelectric initiative on the Yangtze River. As a hydroelectric engineer, Li championed the project for its potential to generate power and control flooding, but it was highly controversial due to its environmental impact, displacement of millions of people, and high costs. The project remains a polarizing part of his legacy, with proponents citing its economic benefits and critics highlighting its social and ecological costs. Li's economic policies focused on maintaining stability while advancing China's modernization. He supported state-led industrialization and was cautious about rapid market reforms, often clashing with more reformist figures like Zhao Ziyang. His tenure saw steady economic growth, but his conservative approach to political reform and his association with Tiananmen made him a divisive figure. As premier, Li was known for his hands-on approach, frequently traveling across China to inspect grassroots units and study local conditions. His packed schedule and technocratic focus earned him respect among some party loyalists, though his public image remained wooden and uncharismatic, particularly on television. Chairman of the National People's Congress. After stepping down as premier in 1998, Peng served as chairman of the Standing Committee of the National People's Congress, NPC, from 1998 to 2003. The NPC, often described as a rubber stamp legislature, allowed Li to maintain significant influence within the CCP. During this period, he continued to advocate for policies that balanced economic development with party control, resisting reforms that he believed could destabilize the regime. His role as NPC chairman was less prominent than his premiership but solidified his status as a bridge between the revolutionary old guard and the technocratic leaders of the post-Deng era. He retired from public life in 2003, marking the end of a nearly 5-decade career in Chinese politics. Personal life. Peng married Zhu Lin in 1958, and they had 2 children, a son, Deng Xiaoping, and a daughter, Li Zhaolin. Both children followed in their father's footsteps, holding prominent positions in China's political and business spheres, particularly in the energy sector, raising questions about nepotism within the CCP elite. Li's family ties to Zhou Enlai and his revolutionary heritage gave him a privileged position within the party, often described as part of the prince-selling class, children of early CCP leaders who rose to prominence. Death and legacy. Peng died on July 22, 2019, in Beijing at the age of 90. The official cause of death was an unspecified illness, with state media reporting that medical treatment had failed. The CCP mourned him as an outstanding Communist Party member and a loyal communist warrior, with flags flown at half-staff and top leaders attending memorial events at Babaoshan Revolutionary Cemetery. However, Li's legacy remains deeply divisive. Within China, state media praised his contributions to economic development and infrastructure, particularly the Three Gorges Dam. Internationally and among pro-democracy advocates, he is remembered primarily for his role in the Tiananmen crackdown, which overshadowed his technocratic achievements. His nickname, Butcher of Beijing, reflects the enduring anger of those who view the 1989 events as a tragic betrayal of democratic aspirations. Critics argue that Li's hardline stance reflected the broader CCP priority of maintaining power at all costs, while supporters contend he was a pragmatic leader navigating a turbulent period of reform and unrest. His career illustrates the complexities of China's transition from Maoist chaos to modern authoritarianism, balancing economic progress with political control.